defer to the village manager office to determine essential service, I don't know how you word this, but basically to make the determination of who's essential to keep at Village Hall for emergency services or services we're required to provide. And all other employees will be released to work from home if determined to do that, or just go home and be paid for the entire time by, and say, Rebecca, how long do you think that would take to make those determinations of who's essential for now? A day, 2 days, 3 days, a week? I just want to put a date in there. Rebecca?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, by the end of the week.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's my best guess at this point. And the reason why I'm pausing is that, like, we're saying essential services, but sometimes there's only one person here who may do like a certain aspect. So for us, we're trying to build as much redundancy as we can. Because I can't necessarily count on both people.
I understand. So however you want to word it, the meaning, and maybe the attorney can help me, but it's basically just saying, sending our staff home that's not essential by a certain date and giving them pay until further notice. So however you want to word that. And if there's not a second, that's fine too.
With the understanding that we'd be calling back.
Yes. Which is always our right, correct?
So there's a number of.
Is there a second?
It's similar to what we're doing with what we'll be doing with the private sector, so.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question? I mean, so if what you're saying in this policy is if we close the office, then that's
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, I apologize.
What the policy says, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that if the village decides to close the office, that's what happens. People are sent home and paid.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, President Rozek's motion is saying, let's close the office. And that would be consistent with the policy for closing the office. However, we can't really close the office because we need to have an opportunity for in-person absentee voting. So I think that there's a conflict there of closing the office.
No, it's not a conflict because those are essential services based
we don't
on
have
requirements. I said whether it's determined that they're essential emergency services or required services. So the state's requiring it. So Rebecca would say, you have to show up. We need to pay people because it's required by the state at this point. But if that changes at state level, then those employees would be dismissed, or not dismissed, but sent home to avoid contact.
But who's not? Mark needs to be here to pay bills. So does his assistant. Tyler needs to be here. I'm not sure. I guess maybe the planning people are the only people in this building who don't have something absolutely essential.
There's no second to the President Rozek. Just hold a minute. I don't want to lose track of what the procedure. There's no second. So is there anyone that would like to make a different motion?
I would like to make, this trustee Marr, I'd like to make a motion to approve the document or the policy that village manager or Rebecca, you all that's presented us this evening, just with the understanding that she will come back to us as we need to make changes, which we probably will be getting fairly frequently. But I would make the motion to move forward with the proposed policy that has been presented this evening.
With the additional suggestion.
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Trustee Bachor, second. There's been a lot of discussion. Is there anyone that needs to be heard that has not been heard?
What are the additional suggestions?
Just for
That
clarity,
you would
what's
make.
the additional suggestion reference in the motion?
I think trustee Menta had suggested something that Rebecca added some language to. I think there was,
That we basically want people to be paid
Mhm.
rather than have to use sick leave as much as
Exactly.
possible.
as much as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it brings in,
But can somebody, can somebody pull it closer to trustee Mesa?
I just said that basically whenever possible to have people at home be paid rather than have to use sick leave. So, not necessarily in the case of someone who just chooses and doesn't have a pre-existing condition, but just says, I don't want to go to work, but,
How do you decide that?
well, Rebecca has kind of laid out a number of different scenarios. The person who is quarantined but doesn't have symptoms, the person who is told to go home because they have symptoms and their supervisor tells them to go home, the person who has childcare issues, the person who maybe has to take care of somebody at home who is sick. So we have a whole bunch of scenarios, and I guess what it seems that we're all agreeing is, as much as possible, she's going to have to use her discretion, but that as much as
Is it
possible,
her or the health department?
as much as possible, we would like her people to be paid.
and the health, it references the health director. I think, so we have a first and we have a second. Does anyone want to call a question? Do you want to continue discussing?
I just have a question,
Okay.
a clarification question. So, Rebecca, in the memo starts out by saying, so if this passes, the memo starts out by saying the health department director will approve case by case every single one that's sent home.
That's
And I'm
not what it
just
says.
asking,
Where is she talking
because it sounds like this is gonna pass. Is it you that makes that determination with the health department, or is it, so for these symptoms, like when an employee complains to a supervisor that they feel uncomfortable because this person might have been exposed, and the supervisor says, yes, okay, because I mean, what else you can say? Yeah, we're gonna send you home. Is it the health department that's gonna evaluate that, the director? Is it you? Is it just the supervisor? I'm confused on the bullet points, if you could clarify.
Depending, we as management or directors have the right to send people home if we so choose.
Okay.
And because there could be a multitude of different scenarios that get presented to us, my
So when does
major,
the health department do
My-
that?
I would, if I felt it appropriate, I would lean on Ann for that guidance.
Okay.
Who is our director. She has asked and has agreed that, she will review people with a level 3 status or other provisions, following FMLA procedures to determine whether quarantine is verified or warranted.
Are we requiring her to make that, because in the memo, I believe it says, I'm trying to find it, I just don't want to adopt something and us have different understandings. It says that she will evaluate on a case-by-case basis every person that goes home, doesn't it? Let me find it. Where
I
did
think
it
it's-
at?
In accordance with FMLA.
Correct.
There's paperwork and verifications that's required in certain situations, and so she would be consulted.
Maybe all of them? Okay, so
And one
not
of the-
everybody, it's just anyone that would be using FMLA?
And what we would advise of her and what we ask her to assist us with is evaluating whether the case requires quarantine, whether it does not, whether it's someone self-quarantining for various reasons, or whether it's actually health department advised that they do, to kind of work through that minutia, because we're not the health professional. So we need to get her advisement. And she has been wonderful and accessible in order to do that, and has been happy to help.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say I'm going to vote no, and the reason is that I believe we need to send our staff home and pay them. Anybody that's not essential or not required by state law to adhere to this, and so that's my reason. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Bachhorst?
I'm going to vote yes, then I'd like to call the question.
All those in favor of calling the question?
Aye.
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 Aye. Nay?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so all, passes 7-0 to call the question. So there's a motion, we have on the floor, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so motion carries 6-1 with President Rezek voting nay. All right, thank you very much. That's a lot of hard work.
Yeah. It's just the beginning.
I know.
And I mean that sincerely, and I
Yeah.
want to thank you guys for just understanding that I will attempt to get back to you as soon as I can.
Mhm.
Any item that relates around this comes first, so if there's other things, let's try to hold them on the side, but I guarantee you this will change. So, I ask for your, patience as we work through it.
And I think I read somewhere that we would have emergency board meetings if you needed us to take action on something.
Correct.
So, right, thank you very much. Item 10, reports of village officials. President Rezek.
No.
Okay, reports of village trustees.
I have none.
Okay.
None.
None for me.
Okay. 10C, village manager. We heard it.
Can I just make one report? I was down at the Atwater Beach today, and the beach is really narrow. I mean, it's a lot narrower than it was last year. I just urge everyone to go take a look, because it's just the narrowest I've seen, and it really impacted me to think, I mean, either if we have the same number of people this summer that we typically do, it's going to be like super crowded. But my guess is that a lot of people I don't think we're going to have the same crowds, because there's just not that much room there. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and everyone should go take a look.
Yeah, I was on the tune the damage to the boardwalk and everything. We're gonna have some cleanup to do. Okay, items for future consideration?
I have one.
Yes.
Am I called upon?
Yes, President Rozak, thank you.
Thank you. I would like to propose a smoke-free beach policy.
Okay,
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all those opposed? Okay, that motion carries 7-0 for as an item for future consideration.
Can that come, like, just since we do have to adopt it before the beach season, can that come just to full board?
Straight to board? Yeah. Because we're not going to have to for a while, I guess. If we can't go with it.
Yeah, we have a lot of business we haven't done yet, that we deferred, so.
Well, I think all we need to note is that there was a request for it to come to full board. Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Trustee Bachhorst, motion to adjourn, seconded by Trustee Amenta. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thanks, everyone. So we adjourned at what time?
Good night.
9:29.
Wow.
Stay safe, everybody. Okay. And now we're gonna wipe down.
Yes, Clorox right here.
Okay.
What did you say, we're wiping our stations down?
Yeah. So Clorox right there.